do it for your country. Oh my gosh, I've had too much coffee. 3 questions to ask yourself when you need confidence quick. Okay, so confidence comes from trusting that we can do something well. Now, the only way we're going to get good at doing something well is by practice. So then it becomes courage. So we have to have courage to be able to become capable of practicing whatever skill we need to become confident in it, whatever it is, whether it's like playing hockey or approaching women. So the 3 questions that I suggest you ask yourself whenever you are starting to feel doubtful about yourself or lacking confidence are because you're in your head already, right? So this is where the lack of confidence to even start or to attempt something comes from. It comes from our thoughts. So replace whatever those thoughts are, those self-doubts, fears, and indecision type of thoughts with these 3 questions. What would it feel like to be confident? That's an interesting question. So if I was confident in this particular task, what might that feel like? And try to really imagine the feeling in your body, because you want your body, because your body is what actually creates the momentum to do or not to do, because our body is where our emotions start from, and our emotions affect our hormones, and our hormones affect our actions, because our hormones tell us if we should be scared or if we should be confident. So the first thing is you want to conquer your hormones, your body, your reactions. And that starts with what we feed our minds. So the first question, once again, is what would it feel like if I was confident in this area that I'm thinking of? And you will have to use your imagination to find that feeling, because you haven't got it in that area. Otherwise, you'd already feel it. And a way to do this is by referring back to other areas in your life where you do feel confident. So it's like figure out something that you do feel confident in and competent in, and then kind of relate that feeling. Go, okay, if I could feel that way, then I would probably take action doing this thing. The second question you want to ask yourself is, what would that confidence look like in the real world? So it may not be just about approaching the girl. It may influence other areas of your life. So start by looking at how that feeling of confidence might affect you in work or in your hobbies or with your friendships. Places where it maybe doesn't matter quite as much. It doesn't have as much emotional impact. And also, what would that look like in the world of meeting women? So, okay, if I was confident in doing this thing that I'm scared to do, what does it feel like? Second question, what does that look like in the real world? And then the third question you want to ask yourself is, if I believed that I was confident, because now that I know what it feels like and what it looks like, what would I do differently? What's one step that someone like me, as a confident person, would do in this situation? And then you have to do it. You have to jump off the diving board, because you're not going to get wet unless you get in the pool. So to illustrate this, I've read 2 books recently, so I'm not sure which one I'm referring to. So I read Flow, and I've read David and Goliath. I read both of those books this week. So I'm not sure which book the story comes from, but here's the story, and I will put both books up somewhere, or a link. There was this kid in elementary school, junior, anyways, he was in school, and he was a geek, and he didn't want to be a geek. He wanted to be popular. So what did he do? He asked himself these 3 questions. What would it feel like to be confident? What would it feel like to be popular? He liked that feeling, so he decided, all right, what's the next step? What would that look like? So he started evaluating the differences between him and the popular guys in school. And he's like, yeah, I need a new wardrobe. Fortunately, his parents were on board and they supported him in this interesting experiment. And then he said, okay, if I was confident and I looked confident, then what would someone who's confident and looked confident do in the real world? And he actually started getting out of his comfort zone and talking to people at school and doing different things. And cut to, he's the valedictorian. He becomes popular, and he was even voted the valedictorian of their school. He took a challenge that scared him and figured out what the steps were to become what he wanted to be. And he took those steps and he got there. This is a kid in like high school. Now, you gotta have balls to be able to do this in high school, because high school is scary. So there's a good example of how these 3 questions will work to actually get you what you want. You just have to take that first step. Be a little bit brave. Do it. Do it for your country. So I know it sounds overly simplified, but if you start taking action by going through this process, eventually you will convince yourself that you have the courage to at least try, and expect to fail the first few times. Nobody succeeds the first time, or else they get famous because of that. Why do they get famous because of that? Because it's so rare. Hello. So you need to go through these 3 questions to be able to actually take action in the real world. And again, what are the 3 questions? The 3 questions are: how would that feel if I was confident? How would I feel if I was confident? What does that look like in the real world? And what would somebody who's confident actually do in this situation? The do. So, which one of these questions are you stuck at? Do you evaluate and then get paralysis analysis and don't actually move forward? Tell me. I want to know. I just want to know. And if you have a question that you would like to have me give you my opinion on, write it in the comments below and I will do my best to answer it for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't know why I'm singing. Maybe it's because it's sunny or I'm weird. I embrace my weirdness. Bye for now.